Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases.
And respectfully booping our way back into your hearts.
Thank you for
Welcome.
listening. Let's get started. Yeah, welcome back, Ryan.
Hey, it's good to be back. Thank you for holding it down while I was gallivanting around the country. It was good. I listened to the episodes, both of them. You can believe it, all the way through.
Your
Not
first two
joking.
Nice.
Playdate podcast episodes. Hello, Playdate podcast episodes.
Made
No,
me
anyway.
be proud to be a part of this thing that I've listened to for the first time.
Damn it, we missed you.
Oh,
We did.
thanks.
Aw.
Welcome back.
All
Okay.
right, with those squeals of delight over, let's get into our news and notes. And we are talking about the fact that all these news and notes are in the show notes of today's episode. And that's the only time we're going to say it, I hope. We'll see how we do. Starting out, we did a Playdate, Hello Playdate podcast t-shirt. They have all been printed. They have all been sent out. The results have been positive. We've been getting very dapper photos of our listeners in our Discord. It was really neat to see folks donning those on their bods. I just am so over the moon thankful that people listen to begin with and listen hard enough to purchase a t-shirt from us. That was just so cool. So thank you everybody for making that a reality. Just wanted to send some thanks.
Yeah, thank you, listeners, but thank you, Ryan, for getting that all coordinated and shipped out and whatnot. That is a lot of work as well. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You got it.
Thanks, listeners, and thanks, Ryan.
Indeed. All right. Enough thinking. How about we move on to Panic, who will be at PAX West this weekend. So this weekend, if you're listening in the far-flung future, is August 30th through September 2nd, 2024. They're going to be on the fourth floor of the Arch Expo Hall. This is in Seattle, Washington. And I am a very bad gamer because I was like, what's PAX West? I've heard the name, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, from their website, it says it's a celebration of gaming and gaming culture featuring thought-provoking panels, a massive expo hall filled with the best publishers and studios, new game demos, musical performances, tournaments, and a community experience unlike any other. So if that sounds like it would tickle your fancy and you're within driving distance to Seattle, Washington, boy, howdy, stop by, say hello to Panic. And I guess they'll be selling some Playdate. Well, maybe, because one of our, spoiler alert, one of our news and notes here is that Playdates are on back order again. So I don't know. Maybe they will not be selling Playdates. Unsure. You guys got any inside info on any of this?
I'm assuming they would have kept a batch to take to something like that. That's a pretty big expo, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Nick?
Interesting.
I would assume they would have some earmarked, yeah, but I don't know.
If anybody attends PAX West, let us know. We can give you a credit in the news and notes for next episode, skyrocketing your street cred in the Playdate community.
Skyrocket's a stretch, but flipping it.
I have a very high opinion of us.
An ollie off a curb or something.
All right. I think we've beat that news and note into the ground. So let's talk about how Panic is also now running its own in-house e-commerce store. Did you guys get a load of this? There's a oh, I almost said it. I'm not going to say it, but you guys know where to find the link to this tweet that they tweeted about running their own in-house e-commerce store. Thoughts, opinions, questions?
I'm trying to find the Playdate store right now. I am not having much success. Is the store down or something?
We've got a few links to it here in our
I see
things
the
that we're
link.
looking at.
I see the link to the next thing. You want to talk about the next thing while I keep digging? Because I cannot find it.
Okay. Well, moving on to the next news and note, it's the Playdate cover that took the Playdate community by storm. It is a pizza cover. Yes, that's right. The Playdate is a square designed module, and it looks quite a lot like a pizza box. And so Panic put out a pizza cover, which also sold out almost immediately. It was gone by the time I looked at the link, but I want to send big old shouts out to friend of the show, Nick F. Nick F purchased a pizza cover for his Playdate, and guess what? He got 2 of them. Maybe that's why they sold out of them, because they doubled up. I don't know. But he said, hey, do you, Ryan of this podcast, know of anyone who might want one? And I sheepishly raised my hand and told him, yes, I think I know someone, and that someone is me. So anyhow, I am very soon going to be the recipient of a pizza cover. So thank you to Nick F. Nick F, if you do not recall, he and I had a dandy discussion about a lot of high-level gaming tips for the Playdate a while back, and covered a number of different games. I'm going to say it, we're going to include a link in the show notes of today's episode to the Nick F episode. So Nick F, thank you so much for that. But this is where I said, hey, Playdates are on back order as well. So pizza covers are on back order, Playdates are on back order. Evidently, they're going to come back at some point, but for now, good luck at neither one.
Yeah, I picked up a pizza cover as well. Don, did you end up getting one?
No, I've got the purple cover, so I'm in good shape. And I usually keep the grip on my Playdate, so I don't even use the purple cover. It is really cool looking though.
It is.
So, very neat.
It's fun, and
Mhm.
I enjoy that kind of fun thing. And I used the opportunity to pick up the patch set that they put out as well.
Mm.
Cool.
Those are very nice looking,
Mhm.
embroidered.
The best use of the patches was, oh my God, I'm gonna make myself feel really bad right now, because somebody, was it
Totally
Ledbetter?
out of control.
Was it Toad who made a custom Playdate flannel jacket
Yeah, it was
thing?
Toad.
Toad.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm horrible. But you are amazing, because you made this incredible hand-stitched jacket with yellow plaid, and then like the black and white plaid for the handle of the Playdate, had the very accurately positioned patches all over. It just looked incredible. I do some needlework and sewing stuff myself, and I was very impressed to see that. That was a ton of work, man, and it looks amazing. So Toad, big shouts out to you. Cool. Glad you picked one up, Nick. Don, glad you're enjoying your grip. How's
Can't live
about
without
that
it.
for that? Yes, indeed. All right. Next one comes from also a friend of the show, Dean O. Dino sent in this mention of new and upcoming Playdate games to wishlist video on YouTube. And this comes from Nicholas, not of this show, but of the unofficial Playdate website, and his wife. His wife is Digital Mumbles, at least that's what she goes by on the YouTubes. And they talk about a few different games on there. I think about 5. One is Asobimon on itch, which is like a Pokemon type game for the Playdate. We've got Echo, the Oracle Scroll, devlog. Evidently, there's not a game page for that one yet, but they mention it. Also, Comet and Void Blazers. Void Blazers, I've actually given a whirl. Are we talking about that later for catalog releases, or
We
should I
are.
mention
Yeah,
it?
we can.
Okay,
I gave it a roll too.
Okay, let's hold off on our whirl pressions until then. And they also covered Garbage Scow Captain. So if you are interested in some more talk on new Playdate games, looks like a fantastic video.
I
Yeah.
was not aware of Garbage Scow Captain. That shows you how out of the loop I am, I suppose. But that looks real fun. So looking forward to trying that.
Yeah, I think I saw friend of the show, Skenic Route Software, mentioning that on the Twitters not long ago. So yeah, I guess that platform's good for something. Anyhow, if you want to go watch that video, you know where to find it. I told you I was not going to say it for the duration of our news and notes. I'm holding to it, sort of.
Every time you say you're not going to say it, that counts though.
Does it?
It
A
does,
little
yeah.
bit.
A little bit. Okay, counts
Yeah,
a
this
little.
video was actually really fun though. I recommend checking it out. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what it was, so I kind of had it on while I was working. And
Mhm.
it's a married couple, so obviously they know each other very well. The chemistry is very good, and you can tell they're having a lot of fun talking back and forth. It's only like 15. Oh no, it's 25 minutes long. Sorry. But anyway, it's really fun. They give kind of a longer look at most of these games. And I have played a bit of Garbage Scout Captain and am looking forward to its full release soon.
Very cool.
September 10th.
Excellent. Speaking of things happening in September, there is a deadline for submitting your trailer for the Playdate Community Direct, and that happens to be September 14th, 2024. There is a trailer submission form somewhere really easy to find. Also, there is a form, also in an easy place to find, for submitting your favorite Playdate tune for Narthex to play. Do you recall the last Playdate Direct? Narthex, hibbity boop bop, skibbity dee, played some drum beats of the Playdate music. Well, he's gonna do it again. So if you have a request for Narthex to hammer out on the old drum kit, then by golly, there's a form waiting for you. I'm gonna let you guess where that is. Do you have thoughts, guys, on what tune you would love for Narthex to hammer out?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to look at the list. I mean, there's been some good songs, but off the top of my head, put it on the spot, I don't know. Probably our theme song would be the first one, right?
Ooh.
That'd only take him 5 seconds. So.
Right. Man, I wonder what he'd do to that. Maybe he could loop it a few times and extend it. Extendo mix.
Yeah.
Huh. I submitted I'm pretty sure I submitted the bouncing baby bomb. What is that one called? Joke worth 99 cents. Yeah. I don't know if you played it last time, but that would be my hope and dream. It's for Narthex to do some mean drum licks. You guys like all these drum slang I'm coming up with? I feel like there's something that I imagine
I can tell
young person would say.
You've played the drums before. This is what I'm taking from this.
Someone watched Whiplash last night.
Yeah. So my scatting a bit earlier was a telltale sign of my authentic drum nature. Good to know.
Musicality.
Well, with that out of the way, I'd also like to tell you that Uncranked subscriptions are now available. Uncranked magazine, edited by the intrepid Zanya Lasagna, is now available by subscription. I've been asking for this for a while now, and boy howdy, I purchased a subscription right away when I saw it, and I hope you will too, because this is such a great publication that Zanya puts out. Quite varied. A lot of different creators and talent will submit articles to this magazine. The current one even has an interview with us, for goodness sakes. So anyway, if you want them just to show up at your door without having to worry about purchasing each and every issue, that's available now. And you can find that link somewhere. Did you guys get your subscription? Putting you on blast. Did you guys get the subscription? Don's itching his neck.
I'm subscribing now. I guess that didn't occur to me, like, I'll always get on but then I was thinking, subscription is a nice way to kind of pay it forward and make sure that the issues keep coming in perpetuity. So yeah, I'm in.
Yes, I like your community-minded approach there. My selfishly minded approach was, I don't have to remember if I purchased this issue or not. It'll just all come to me.
There you go.
Nick?
All right. Yes, it's happening. I've purchased them all individually, but that is a very good point, is to grab a subscription, support Uncranked, and get access to subscriber-only articles.
I will admit, when I saw it in issue number 4, there was an ad for subscriptions that I got very excited, and then I got very distracted and did not get it. And
that's my problem.
Came to my attention again. And when it came to my attention for the second time, I jumped right on it. So anyhow,
thanks for bringing this up. I have the link loaded, ready to go.
Loaded, not purchased. Got it. Next item on the agenda is the fact that Uncranked TV episode number 1 is live. So this is different than the Uncranked updates that come out on YouTube periodically. Zanya has illustrated little animatronic automaton that reads the news to you. and
Diva.
Zanya has been saying, what was that?
Diva, I think the character.
Diva is their name. Thank you. And anyhow, Zanya's putting some time and effort into this, and it's a little different than updates we've been receiving so far. So I thought I would mention that as well. Speaking of unending uncranked news, Uncranked 1-year anniversary questionnaire is live. So go check that out too. Zanya wants to know some things from you. I think that's a really important thing to do as a small business, is to listen to your customers. And so she's soliciting some opinions from you. I hope you give it to her. Don and Nick, don't forget to do that as well. Put it on your Uncranked to-do list.
Done. I'm not a
Taking
dev,
a breath
but...
to let. What was that, Don?
I'm not a dev, but there are non-dev questions on there, so I filled those out.
Yeah, excellent. All right. I took my breath to let you know about more Zanya news, which is the fact that Zanya is looking for folks, devs specifically, for a couple things. First, any devs who might want to be part of an upcoming itch bundle. Zanya has put together a number of these. They're always really well put together and quite well received. And she usually does like some zines to go along with it, which always boggles my mind. I feel like, man, just organizing the bundle itself seems like enough work, but putting together some, promotional publication to go around it, so cool. So anyway, if you're a dev and you want to be part of an upcoming itch bundle with Zanya and others, I'll let you know where you can find her in just a second, because she's also looking for devs who might want to be a part of the 2024 Playdate Advent Calendar. The Advent Calendar happened last year, at least. Did it happen 2 years or just 1 year so far?
I think just last year.
Okay. Very good. And if you'd like to be a part of the second one, then you can contact Zanya a couple of different ways. One, we are providing a link to Zanya's link tree. That is linkter.ee/Zanya. You know where that link will be if you cannot decipher that. And also, you can email Zanya, but hey, Don, maybe let's not include Zanya's email in the show notes of today's episode. I feel like that would be a bummer to have an email trolled like that. But for audio purposes, I will tell you that it is zanyalasagna@gmail.com. That's spelled XANIALASAGNA@gmail.com. So you can email her there, or take a look at the link tree so you can contact her on Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube's, etc., and let Zanya know that you'd like to be a part of either the bundle or the Advent Calendar.
Very good.
Is that enough news and notes?
Getting there.
Nicholas, you seem to have contributed.
Congratulations to Fat Nose Games for the release of Along Came a Spider, Valley of the Hollow. This has been a long time coming and high up on our collective wish list, I think. And as part of the celebration, they've announced a bundle of their games, and they're all on sale right now on itch. So there'll be a link for that as well.
Yeah,
Very
you get
good.
both Along Came a Spider games, Crank Gym, and now that's what I call Pulp, for $6. I kind of thought Along Came the Spider, Valley of the Hollow would be, I don't know, at least $6 on its own, $8, something like that.
Right?
So to get all this
Goodness.
for $6 is like, wow.
Amazing.
I know George has been working on this for a long time. He even put out a map that looks very extensive. It looks like, the original Legend of Zelda level of complexity. It looked incredible. So anyhow, that sounds like a steal and a half. And George Banks, friend of the show, former co-host, let's go see what he's doing these days with the follow-up to Along Came a Spider. Thanks for including this, Nick.
Yep. Congratulations again on the release. And that brings us to Indie Inventory.
Indie Inventory.
So, have you all seen this Plight of the Wizard?
I've not.
It is essentially the Black Mage from Final Fantasy 1 in a Vampire Survivors like game. and it looks pretty fun, and it's a little different take on it than the what was the game that we played
The
not
Shield
too long
Arena?
ago? No.
Oh, was it the
Well,
little robot
Core
blasting game?
yeah, Core Fault.
Core
Fault.
Fault. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
so this is a slightly different take on that, where it's kind of a similar approach where there's a mass of enemies that's encroaching upon your position, but you use the crank to actually aim your projectiles or your weapon, whatever that may be. Um, so this is still in dev, but I thought it looked interesting enough to note here in the show notes, and that
Mm,
leads us to the
boy,
next
still in
one.
development. I'm surprised
Yes.
you, Don let you put this in there.
Well, wait until you get to the next one, which is also still in development, and that
Oh boy.
is,
Oh,
uh,
this
oh,
is like Nick's Boop episode.
you
Are
know
you
what
gonna
I
stand
did?
for
Mutiny.
this, Don?
Plight of the Wizard is actually Name Your Price, and it is by Sotix. All right, next up is Blop, and this is a game by Tentabor, and it is like a super fleshed out Tamagotchi
Hmm.
like. Um, it looks really in depth. I was pretty excited to see this. Um, this is also still in dev. There's a couple of things I'm not sure if like typos are intentional, that kind of thing, which I'd be curious to know. But it looks great, and it's the graphics are very clear in the GIFs, which I prize highly. Um, Very readable, and the fonts remind me of Mother. Um, Very interesting. Anyway,
Yeah, this looks super fleshed out.
and
As a brief side note, I don't know if Tamagotchis are making a comeback, but one of the episodes I missed, I was at Comic-Con International selling my work and cruising the convention hall floor, and I saw this big Tamagotchi booth. Like, I don't know if this is a new
Hmm.
thing, or is that like, are the kids doing this again?
they've never left, Ryan. They've
Mm,
never left.
shows where I've
Um,
been.
well, Tentabor, I'm very interested in Blop as it continues to evolve. This is free currently on itch. Um,
I'm very interested in the title of that game. It's another one of those winners. Sometimes you tell me game titles and it just instantly makes me smile. This is one of
yes.
them.
So this next one makes me smile, and it is the Royal Game of Ur.
Hmm.
And it is a name your price game. And this is similar in concept to the Goose game that we talked about last episode, actually, where it's an
Hmm.
older board game. This one is an ancient board game
Hmm.
that dates from the early third millennium BC. So
Are
this
we in a
is
race to see who can find the most hipster of board games and
this
then
is
port that to the Playdate?
yes, and so far this one's winning. Um, This is Name Your Price. It's by Gerald 1080. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's their resolution or their handle, but at any rate, Gerald 1080, the Royal Game of Ur. Check it out. It's a tile based. They compare it to something like uh, backgammon or
Hmm.
Ludo, where it's easy to learn, hard to master, strategic decisions, and luck of the dice. It's got it all. The Royal Game of Ur.
My
Okay,
land. Well,
next.
George or Gerald, congrats on combing the cave walls to find this one. We look forward to seeing what you do next.
Yeah, at least I've heard of. The Goose one I hadn't heard of. If you do some board gaming, you'll come across her.
Yeah, this is a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Alan, you are a person of culture, as we knew.
I wouldn't go that
I
far.
mean, yes.
But I was not aware of Goose or Ur. But I tell you the next thing that I wasn't aware of, and that is Made to Measure. And this is a name your price game, and it is billed as a sort of short horror visual novel
Hmm.
type game, and it was the first game by this dev, uh, BBY Ford, and this is Name Your Price, and there are representations of cutting fabric. So I'm very curious apparently this evolves into some kind of cosmic horror situation. So it is name your price on itch, made to measure.
It's Ben Byford, so B Byford,
Okay, thank you.
not Baby Byford.
Where are you seeing the reference to horror in here?
Yeah, I don't see that either. Is it in the
Did I
trailer?
make that up? Where am I? Oh,
There is
I mean,
like a tentacle on the screen, and
that's true. I mean, most of it seems like you're cutting fabric.
Oh, it's in the more information, everybody. So, yeah.
Yes, horror tag.
Yes.
Nice.
Aha. All right.
Okay.
Nick knew what he was talking about.
Not really, but okay.
Should
So
have seen him sweating right then.
yes, and next up is a game by Power Dive Games that I will have a hard time pronouncing, but I'm gonna try. It's called Podcast, and it is $4.
We're doing a podcast right now.
And it is some kind of matching puzzler.
Nick, spell that out for us so the listeners understand that you're not saying podcast.
Podcast. It is PAHTKEST.
There we go.
Podcast.
Yes.
Podcast. So summary is fight back against a variety of creatures in Podcast, a game from a far off land. Draw a path in the grid to attack enemies and defeat them to survive longer. How much gold can you earn before the game ends? Is this kind of like you must build a boat or something like that?
I could see that. It looks kind of similar, but I just Googled it and this is a made up word apparently. This is only result.
Really? Huh. I thought maybe it was German. Like, you're listening to a podcast? This is what we are doing right now?
I thought it was Turkish or something.
Okay.
The graphics are real cool, but I don't know.
Looks puzzly.
It is puzzly.
I thought it was Crackpot.
My takeaway.
But the line's got something going on there. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
There's also an alternate language here. What is that? Does anybody know?
I believe it's made up for the game, maybe, or maybe it's a real language. I don't know. I am.
Let's find out.
We got to get to the bottom of this.
Very clever. So, however, this looked cool, and I thought I would highlight it. It's by Power Dive Games. It's called Podcast, PAHTKEST exclamation point, and it is $4 on itch.
Google doesn't know what it is.
Same. Yes. What is whoever put out the podcast is really confusing us this episode. Somebody help us out here. What is this alternate language?
Yeah, I would like to know that as well.
Power Dive. We're giving you a lot of airtime. Please write into the show.
Oh, we'll hear about Power Dive here in a sec too. So
we're all very intrigued. Okay.
Shadow
Next up, I just wanted to highlight this. There are actually 2 releases from the same dev, Kyle Nathan. I believe this is their first and their second game. It's called Adventurer, and then there's a different one called Space Adventurer, and these are free on itch. And it is a top-down. It's based on top-down adventure by Squid God. So it looks like they used that as a base and then expanded it into their own games. And the first one that I've highlighted here is that you're a traveler who goes on a daring adventure to recover your sword. So this is Adventurer, and it is by Kyle Nathan 0827, and it is free on itch.
Cool. Very cool. Looks like you can find the Space Adventurer in the comments of Adventurer if you're looking for that.
And so that brings us to the catalog releases for this week. Don, can you tell us about the first one here?
Sure, yeah. First up is a game that I noticed was advertised as being playable at PAX East or PAX West, which Ryan mentioned earlier. This is 00 Perfect Stop by Hunter Bridges, and it is a train stopping game, a train driving game. A lot of these Japanese train commuting games are very popular in Japan, and they're starting to get a little traction here stateside. And so this is kind of cool to see that we have one on the Playdate now. So you want to drive around and do stops. There's 1 stop, 3 stop, 5 drop, stop, and express diagrams along Mount Fuji. So it's $6 and worth a look if any of that sounds appealing to you.
So wait, Don, this is well established that I'm a very old man, so I've never heard of train stopping game genre before. Are you literally trying to like see where your train will stop, or what is this all about?
The genre is train simulator, and
Yeah.
there are some very, very intense
Mhm.
and lifelike train simulation games. There's a whole subgenre of different types of simulation games, but train simulations are very fleshed out.
And so
They've
what are you typically trying to do? Like take commuters
drive a
from one
train.
area to another,
Could
or
be
like
commuters, could be
transport
freight.
cargo?
Yeah, could be anything.
Huh.
Ryan, the world's your oyster.
Boy, howdy.
In 00, perfect stop.
I need to start learning some train driving, evidently.
My understanding is that the Japanese railways commuter trains are very high pressure, and so as Nick was saying, it's intense and realistic, and people are trying to really get the simulation down. So
Very interesting.
yes, but
Well, thank you for
I really like
educating me.
the detail in the graphics here, and it looks very legible and whatnot for what it is. There's a lot of information, but it looks like it's all fairly legible on the
Yeah,
little Playdate screen.
it's using a sort of 3D engine for the rendering of the railways itself and the surrounding countryside. Very appealing from the GIFs and impressively smooth.
Speaking
Indeed.
of impressively smooth, can we talk about this next one? I've played
Well,
it.
not yet, because
Oh,
00 Perfect Stop is $6 on catalog right now,
there
and
we
it's made
go.
by Hunter Bridges.
Thank you, Nick.
Nice looking work, Hunter. All right, speaking of silky smooth, can we talk about Void Blazers now?
Yes,
Void
Ryan.
Blazers. Void Blazers is on catalog, and whoop, this is your warning letting you know that I, for one, have received a review copy. I don't know if you guys did. Did you as well receive a review copy?
No,
Really?
I don't believe so,
really.
no.
Purchased
Yeah.
copy.
Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
purchased one as well.
So I'm going to talk smack nonstop. I'm not bought and paid for.
Well, I guess the people have spoken. The boops are a favorite, and I don't know what else to say, but I'll keep the boops respectful just for you, Don. But in terms of Void Blazers, man, I've really enjoyed my time with this game, and it's Nick, if you've not played this yet, I hope you will, because it seems like it's right up your alley. I know you love a vertically
is.
scrolling shooter, space theme type of game. So it is all that and a bag of potato chips, as they say. Lots of different types of enemies and some like nice big enemies with a lot of detail in them. But even though a lot of stuff fills the screen, I never felt like it was slowing down on me. Did you guys feel that same way?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very fluid, and you never feel like the play date is the reason why you're making a mistake. And it feels like when you're successful, you are successful. You're not exploiting anything. The bullets are very clear. You're dodging stuff. It doesn't feel like it's overbearing or anything. I am only a few missions in, so I haven't gotten to like a high intensity stage really yet. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Ryan.
Cool.
Downloaded
Nick?
and haven't played yet.
Okay. Of course. All right. Next game is, what is this? Oh,
Void
this is the
Blazers
Power Drive follow-up.
Void Blazers $8 on catalog. It's also on itch, and I would butcher the developer's name, but I'm going to try anyway. Tin Tinge Kershish, very nice, and Jasmine Aracon. Anyway, Void
Thank you
Blazers,
for
very
being willing
good.
to attempt that, Don.
There we go. It is a shoot 'em up. Check it out. Very good game.
Next
Okay,
up.
sorry. Yeah, Power Dive Games has released Solitaire. We mentioned it a few weeks ago when it hit itch, but it is a solitaire game that has, what was the deal with this one? It's endless, right? Yeah, it's endless. If you run out of space, it's game over. So you're trying to just create hands or whatever, solitaires. You're trying to create solitaires to get them off your screen before it's too late. and just keep playing and playing and playing. But this is the dev that made that other game that we can't say the name of. Podcast. What was it? Pock Test.
Podcast. This the podcast we are doing right now.
Yes. Same dev. So I'm going to click the game support button and email them about their other game. But they made Solitaire as well for $5.
Fantastic.
All right.
Nick, want to tackle this next one?
Next up, it's the Fable of the Snake That Eats Its Own Tail, the Ouroboros. And that is by Tom Tervort. And it is $2. And it's an odd twist on snake in the form of a puzzle game where you have to bite the tip of your tail. Whenever you move, the tail moves, and you have to get around plenty of obstacles, including the rest of your snake's body. So that's the game.
It looks like there's a lot of different mechanics in here, or like little puzzle things. Like you're setting off a rocket in one part, which I'm assuming you cannot let hit your body on one of these gifts here.
That does look dangerous.
Very interesting.
A guillotine type thing. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on here. Looks
you know
cool.
me and my affinity for snake games. Oh, this is getting me excited. And it's also appealing to my inner miser. It's only $2. Gracious me.
For 50 stages. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so that's Ouroboros by Tom Tervort. And last up is Magic Castle. And this is by, and pardon the pronunciation, it is probably incorrect. I'm so very sorry in advance, but Midas Michalak, and it is $4 on catalog. This game, really reminiscent of Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, and also Earthbound with the sprite work. So this is a turn-based role-playing game. Do you all remember I was lamenting the lack of turn-based role-playing games on the Playdate just recently, and now there are several to choose from. So Magic Castle, this looks really cool and right up my alley, and it's also relatively short. It's only 30 minutes to 1.5 hours, which is pretty fantastic for a game like this. Brevity is the source of wit. I think that's the quote. So,
the source of what?
Wit. Yeah.
Wit. Oh, okay. I've been playing a very unwitty game. I'm like 40 hours
I admire
on a turn-based combat game. But so this sounds like a nice little palate cleanser to me.
Yeah. I admire a nice tight edit on a game like this. So very excited to give this a try, and love the sprite work. Nice work.
I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I found that YouTube video of some guy like very calmly playing through it or talking about it. Do you remember that, Nick?
Oh, yes.
Like a very mellow guy going over it.
For reminding me, yeah.
Yeah, I think this was the game. But looking at one of these GIFs, is there like a QTE here? Like when on the attack screen, he's like pushing A, B, B?
So I'm going to say this again because this is the only thing I can say this episode, apparently. This reminds me of like Mother or Earthbound, where there's timed element in the combat. That's what it appears to be. But maybe it is a QTE, like, you have to hit the appropriate buttons to attack, something like that.
Attack. Okay. Well, it looks cool.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I will go ahead and take us out of this indie inventory catalog segment by saying that there is one game for sale right now on catalog, and it's Penrose. So you don't have to sift through a lot of sale games this week. Penrose is it, and it's going from $2 to $1. It's 50% off. If you want to mess about in the town of Penrose, where nothing is as it seems, by golly, for $1, it's hard to go wrong. All right, so that's going to wrap up the indie inventory, which means it's finally time for our pick of the week. And this time it is picked by moi. I picked Dolphin Splash. I don't know if you guys remember this on a Playdate Direct a while back, but there was this really incredible little video about this dolphin game coming up. Very reminiscent of Echo, and except for the fact that it's got crank-based controls. And also, a really fun aspect of this particular game is that there are online leaderboards for timed races, seems like the wrong word. Timed, you're trying to make your way
Time
around
trials.
Yeah,
time
Yeah.
trial.
trials. It could be a trial. So anyhow, this the visuals of this game really captured my attention, and I thought, boy, howdy, I'll give that a whirl. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, when I first tried this game, I was like, ooh, how is this functioning? How do I turn? How do I make these mechanics work? And I was really sort of befuddled for a while as I tried to understand this purely crank-based mechanic. I would turn it, and it would feel like the dolphin would move in a different direction than I was expecting. So all this to say, it really took me a while to feel comfortable with the crank-based controls. I likened it a little bit in the taking a while to get the crank-based controls to Whitewater Wipeout. Like, I don't know if you guys recall way back when we first got our Playdates, and
Hmm.
we all tried Whitewater Wipeout for the first time, and I don't know, it really took me a while to understand, oh, okay, this is how you move the board up, this is how you move the board down. But then once I got it, it felt really great. And I have a similar feeling to Dolphin Splash here. These online leaderboards were a big source of uh joy for me playing this game, especially with folks like Dino on the Discord for our Hello Playdate podcast, and really battling for those. I won't say top spots, but I'll say battling for the number 2 spot, because there is a particular user who seems to have all the top spots in just an unbelievable uh margin. Like, it seems to be unattainable. So anyhow, we were battling for spot number 2, which made things very fun for me. But those are some thoughts of mine to begin with. Don and Nick, I forced you into playing this game, and I'd be real interested to hear your thoughts about it.
Nick, did you know you're on 7 of the top of these 11 top 10 lists?
I did. I'm very,
Oh,
very low on them.
no, yeah. See, you just downplayed your performance right there on the Discord. You're downplaying your performance, but it's 7 of them. Ryan's on
Yeah,
all
look
of
at you,
them.
Nick. Look at you, Nick. I'm very proud of you.
Very
Thank you.
good. Yeah. I guess I'll pop in here. I liked Echo the Dolphin as a kid, but one thing about Echo the Dolphin is it looks awesome and it's just like an okay game. Like, it doesn't control as good as you want it to. And I will say that seeing this kind of gave me that nostalgia, obviously, and playing it initially, I was like, oh no, this controls kind of weird. It's giving me too much Echo nostalgia. But then pretty quickly, the dev hopped into our Discord, and I think it was Fev maybe who was like, "Oh, try inverting the controls." I think they were having a conversation about inverting the controls, and so I did that, and yeah, it kind of like clicked more so than not inverting them, and so it was easier to control the dolphin, and I kind of get more into the flow of the game, and it was nice how the levels went from a time trial to an exploration level, and it wasn't too much of one, too much of the other. It was back and forth, and you could just pick whatever level you wanted to go to. And there's, I would say, a good variety of levels, a good number of levels rather, for the price. It's a $4 game. It's not like there were 3 levels or something like a lot of games at this price point. I think there's, I don't know, like 18 levels, maybe something like that.
Sounds roughly right.
Yeah. So that's where I came in. And I played in vector mode the whole time. Does the dolphin like
Really?
turn its body so you see its fin?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so it flips. So if you're turning it, like,
Oh,
upside down, the moment it turns upside down, it flips back so it's right side up again.
I gotcha. Okay, cool. I like the vector thing. I don't know, look cool.
I used the as I was trying to get faster and faster, I would race against my ghost, and the ghost was in vector, but I was in sprite mode or what have you. Uh,
Oh,
did you try that at all, Don?
I never erased my ghost.
Oh man, that was key for me in trying to get some of those faster times.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't. You guys were in like a heated battle against each other on
It's
the
true.
Discord. I
It's
wasn't
true.
a part of that.
But we haven't heard from Nick yet. So let's hear some of Nick's
For
thoughts
sure.
before we get into all that.
So I agree with Don about everything almost. Echo vibes totally. I was very excited to play this because I really enjoy Echo graphically, but also I think the game is really cool. I think I mentioned in a previous episode that I found it incredibly difficult though. And so I was looking forward to this, imagining how this might control and thinking in my head how beautifully the crank controls will translate to moving this dolphin's body, which in my head felt like a very natural movement.
Yeah.
In reality, I'm really bad at controlling a dolphin with a crank.
Well,
So,
the scoreboard
uh,
suggests otherwise, Nick.
Mhm.
well, I don't know how
Ahem.
seriously to take those scoreboards, but at any rate, I found myself frequently um, doing the wrong thing accidentally.
Mhm.
And it took me a little while, probably 2 or 3 stages, before I finally realized what the deal was with the controls that I was missing. And that is that the crank only really moves in a very small range for me. And I wasn't able to find this invert checkbox that you all are talking about.
It's not
So I
checkbox. It's like a slider. So
yeah,
I
that
always
was
felt
the
the same
slider.
way. You slide from the positive to the negative, and that inverts the control. I thought there'd be
Okay.
a checkbox as well.
I thought it zeroed out at the back, and I was like, I don't get this invert thing.
Same.
So I probably should have experimented, sounds like. But anyway, I left it on positive, whatever the default was. And that was my experience with it. So I found that I tended to do better if I had the crank basically vertical. And so that was my default position. And I would try to stay like within 5 degrees of operation of that
Huh.
vertical. And it worked better and better the more I got into it. So things that would throw me off, there are obstacles that will actually change your trajectory, which is really interesting. Um, it's
There
just
were
like
pop
Echo
bumpers, right?
in that regard. Yeah, pop bumpers or litter in the ocean that prevents the dolphins from racing for some reason. Um, and
Whirlpools, all sorts of stuff.
figuring out how to navigate those within that very limited range of crank control was one of the more interesting aspects of the game for me. I didn't enjoy the time trials as much as the navigational puzzles.
Hmm.
I thought the navigational puzzles were really cool. However, um, there are two of them that I ran into where it's possible to dead end on them. And as I was exploring
Hmm.
them initially, I was like, I wonder if you can dead end on this one. And so the first time I tried to dead end and managed to do it, and I was like, oh, okay, it is possible. And then the second time I accidentally dead ended. So that was a much later stage. So it's pretty interesting. It was surprising to me that those dead ends exist. I know I'm like throwing out a lot of quibbles here. These are not quibbles. It's just my own limitations as a game player more than quibbles with the game. But I do have an actual legit quibble, and that is uh, the menu controls. I found very confusing for some reason. So after I would finish a stage, I would naturally go and press A or whatever, or maybe B. I don't know what I pressed, but whatever it was, it restarted the stage, and that uh, I found myself becoming annoyed a couple of times
Huh.
with that. And then I actually, waited. So once I collected all the treasures or I finished the race or whatever, I just took my hands off the Playdate and then realized what it was saying to me. The problem
Yeah.
was I was pressing the button before the menu even came up, and it
I was going to
accepted
say
the
everything
input.
is very clearly labeled.
Oh yeah. It's the problem was mine and mine alone.
So your quibble is with yourself.
Yeah, all of my
Okay.
quibbles are with myself. I'm terrible at playing video games, as I've learned. But anyway, it was fun to become a dolphin. Thank you very much, Ryan, for suggesting this game. I was very interested in playing it, and graphically, I enjoyed it. The audio was great. I was curious what your thoughts were on it. Some of the stages had a very echo like intro vibe to them, and
As far
then
as the audio is concerned?
the music, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then some of them are actually quite intense, and it was interesting the juxtaposition between different stages, and I enjoyed kind of hearing the music that was paired with each challenge and figuring out, maybe what inspired them to choose that music for that stage.
Yeah,
Um,
for me, it was very interesting to hear you say that you gravitated toward the navigational exploration because, of course, I gravitated toward the time trials. And so it sounds like
Super
it's a
competitive
really
Ryan.
well balanced game development, game design for
Mhm.
Yeah.
this. It pleases multiple crowds. Uh, I gravitated so hard to the time trials that I'm having a difficult time recalling the navigational exploration that I did at the start a couple weeks ago when I purchased this game. I was so focused on that, like I would literally skip over to time trial, time trial, time trial, in an effort to get like the leaderboards, the top 3 of all those. And I was just having such a wonderful time competing with a friend of the show, Dino, who was just really pushing me. Like I would get a time and then he'd beat it and then I'd beat that and he'd beat me and we'd be back and forth in the Discord on all of these. It was just, I don't know, a very fun time for me. I like it when there's somebody on I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't sound arrogant, but on my personal level, not to say a great level. It's not necessarily a great level, but on my particular level, like not somebody who's going to bury me into the ground, but not somebody who's, gonna not play the game at all, but like somebody who's on an equal footing. So stop making me feel bad. So anyway,
No,
I
don't feel
really
bad.
enjoyed that. Back and forth that Dino and I had in the Discord. And yeah, I hope that others can get in there and enjoy that too.
It looks like he's got you on 4 stages still, and Orkin's got you on one of them. So
Organs in there too. Yes,
yeah,
he
you
was
got a
one
little
of
work.
the originators. I remember him saying,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I got in there early so I could get on the leaderboards." But he was back in there, really showing his stuff on a couple of those levels. I saw he bested me. I thought I put up some pretty admirable times, but then he showed me who's boss. Yeah, that was great.
It's interesting that on the Playdate, I guess the website, it shows it as scores instead of times, but on the game it shows times, which I feel
It
is more interesting to see the actual times.
Yeah, I mean, you can translate the scores into time. It's basically, 43,100 points is 43 seconds, point
Oh, okay.
1 seconds.
Okay, so some of these are longer stages, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
So I'm sure it's just a default of catalog that you cannot put seconds or time up
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
workaround was to translate it into score. But
it's an
yeah,
API limitation.
I thought
Okay.
that was funny too.
I got you. Nick mentioned that the exploration stages that you get locked out of. The first one that I got locked out of, I thought I was doing something wrong, and I just kept swimming around and around and around. I was like, "What the heck?" And then I finally realized, oh, I should have opened the one with 2 keys first, and
Uh-huh.
then kept
Yep.
going from there. And like
Yeah.
I thought maybe the chalices meant something, and I was like, well, what are these chalices for? Am I supposed to cash them in somewhere? I was just confused. I feel like the game is front loaded with sort of harder stages, and then they get easier as it goes.
I I did not have that experience. Um, but
How many
uh,
stages did you go through, Don? Did you go through all of them?
I played all, but I think the last 3.
Hmm.
But the ones in the middle definitely felt easier. Just looking at the GIF, it shows the first stage for this race where you have to jump out of the water and then you hit that very shallow area and then you got to jump out again. I guess you don't have to, but it's easier to get that third ring and whatnot. And some of the races, even the one where you're going against the current and whatnot, you're not really having to jump out of the water as much and whatnot. I don't know. I felt like I was struggling a lot more with the controls anyway in that level. Anytime I had to jump out of the water, I was like, I'm not really into this. And see the
You were
very
like a
bottom,
fish out of water.
I was the very bottom
Don, I
one
have
where
a
you have to
tip.
jump over the rock there.
Yeah.
Like I had to build up speed, and if you don't hit those little
Uh-huh.
boosters, it's a little tougher. That's one of the
Yeah.
first stages, if not the first one. I don't recall, but
No, that's one of the latter stages, isn't it?
no, it's one of the first stages. Unless I
Huh.
accidentally like went around the horn to the last stages or something.
Maybe that was it. Because I felt like that was one of the last time trials I got to. But
Hmm.
you were talking about that GIF on the catalog site where those fish has to like jump a couple times out of the water in that shallow place. Quick tip, you do not have to jump out of that water. In fact, if you are hitting those speed boosts and you crank that thing real fast and stay in the water, you'll go faster than you will if you leap out of the water
Hmm.
and have this really slow jump and enter back in. So that was one of the things I had to like figure out in order to shave another tenth of a second or two off my time and have a fighting chance of beating Dino and Orkin in these time trials. But yeah, there's some really interesting strategic moves that you have to develop in order to continue shaving time off your runs. I found it really, really exciting.
I think my daughter would be upset if I didn't mention that dolphins are mammals and not fish. So
Did I say fish?
we both did.
Oopsies. Sometimes that dolphin sprite looks like a fish to me.
It's
a little
very
squat,
fish-like.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 In vector mode, it's a fish.
Oh, there you go.
Hmm.
There we go. So, what do you all think about the unlocking of things as a dolphin? Is that uh, I found that to be a little tricky, and the thing that was a little confusing to me is there wasn't a quick restart of the
Yeah.
level. So, like when you're locked out, you have to
Hmm.
back out to the menu of stages in order to
Yeah.
go back in,
I
which
felt
isn't a
like that
huge
was
deal.
fast enough.
It was fast enough,
It's
but it took
okay.
me a second, yeah, to
What
kind of
what
figure
would
it
you
out.
rather? I mean,
Have an
yeah,
option in the menu, restart
There
level.
there is a option in the
there
menu. You can
is.
set a quick restart button. So I think I set up
Okay,
on the D-pad as a quick restart.
so
Hmm.
what we're learning here is that I actually need to
Nick
look
didn't read the
through
menu.
and use the
Read all those
menu.
pesky
Okay.
Yeah.
words. Yeah.
Well, the quality of life stuff is there. So you called out stuff that probably came up during play testing and the dev listened.
Yeah.
I'm with you. What did you mention earlier? There's something that I totally agreed with. I would have, the confirm button. When you get back to the menu, it does take a second for like the options to pop up, and they're all legible. But I don't like it when games like the retry button is the A button because you're gonna hit that first anyway, and I don't want to retry. I want to advance, and so I don't like it when
Mhm.
games default to that as being the retry button. So I'll give you that one.
My opinion is different than that because I was so time trial focused that the retries were key for me. So that's what I was
Yeah,
interested in doing mainly. That's
I
interesting.
could see that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, I feel
I
like there's
wonder
a
if
lot of options to change buttons. Maybe there's an option to change those two buttons.
yeah, or maybe even on the time trials, there's a quick reset or retry button, but maybe on the navigational ones, it's different. I don't know if that would make sense. What do you
There
guys think?
might be. There's a lot of options in here. I'm not sure. I didn't try all
Are there
this.
really? I
There's
thought there
probably
were
like
only like 3.
there's like 15, 20 options in here.
What?
Yes. I'm
Am I
not
having an
one to
ancient
explore
version?
options often, so I'm
No.
trusting you, Don.
I did try
Uh,
the button controls because someone in the Discord mentioned that they gave it a shot. It's I don't know that it's better or worse one way or the other. It is like a different thing, and I could see some people preferring one or the other. You're
I
just
had a
pushing A to turn left, B to turn right, or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I tried that out too. And boy, I thought the crank controls were confusing at first. I was even worse with A and B. Yeah, that was real tough for me. Nick, did you try button control?
Nope.
Okay.
I feel like if you crank the sensitivity all the way up, button controls would be much better
Hmm.
because they're super precise. I mean, the crank
Does
is even more precise, but you got to really know where you're going with the crank.
Yeah, I was
does
gonna
it?
say the crank preciseness felt amazing. Like once you get the
Mhm.
hang of it, you can really control exactly where you want that dolphin to go. I felt
Where
like,
those fins should be.
yeah, yeah, I felt like, when I was gonna crank it, it was gonna give me like, I don't know, 8 angles around 360, but I swear it feels like there's more than 360 degrees that this dolphin goes. It's so pinpoint precise.
If you think of driving games and how precise they are with you moving the joystick, you're tapping to turn around cars. It's the same thing with pressing the buttons. If it's super sensitive, you just be tapping or holding. That's how precise it is. You're holding longer. You were very good at pushing buttons for extended periods or short periods to make those tiny adjustments. Whereas the crank, you got to move it to the exact right spot. So like Ryan's totally dialed in with the crank, no problems there. But for me, it was a little harder. Sometimes I would turn too much and then I got to turn my whole body around, or I would swim around a target and have to like go a wider circle to hit the target. And I would lose a second or two or whatever and then come back around. Whereas with A and B, I don't think I would have had that problem. I didn't try it enough to get good at it, but I could see some people really excelling with it. Either way, it's really cool that both options are there. And that's a complaint that we have with a lot of Playdate games is like, oh, I wish they would have done this with the controls, or it's too much cranking. I feel like the first year, especially, oh, it's too much cranking, too much cranking. I'm glad that devs like finally get it and they're like, oh, I'm going to make the game good and accessible instead of making it gimmicky. And this could have easily gone that way.
Cool. Well, thumbs up for me. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, definitely a thumbs up. Great game, great pick.
Yeah. Fun game. Thanks, Ryan.
Awesome. And before we leave Dolphin Splash behind, we did have a comment from Dino who says, I've enjoyed the simple mechanics and rules, tight game loop, and intuitive controls. Each course I've attempted has offered a surprisingly unique and fun challenge. It takes time and effort to finesse the precision cranking and to uncover the not so obvious tricks to shave half a second off your time. I frequently sat down for a quick spin with Dolphin Splash and lost an hour trying to perfect my run and also trying to beat Ryan. So, Dino, thank you for chiming in here with some always thoughtful words. I had a great time duking it out with you these past couple weeks too. So that brings us to next episode's pick of the episode.
Yeah, next episode is my pick, and I'm picking Hana, Space Time Fantasy. And this is made by King of Shibuya Limited, and it is currently $10.
Cool.
$10 on catalog. All right. Interesting.
And
Looking forward to that, Nick.
there's a free demo if you want to give it a go first. But yeah, very cool game.
Yes.
Highly recommended. Oh, I'm giving
Cool.
too much away. But...
Save it for the podcast, Don.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that does it for this episode. So if you want to shoot us a line, you can do so at helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. There's also some other things like a bingo tip line. What is that bingo tip line? That is 724 bingos 1. That's 724-246-4671. And if you call in and leave a message, Don just might tack it on at the end of the episode like he did for me. But we can also do, let's see, we got a podcast URL, playdatepodcast.com. We've got a Discord. We're on the Instagrams at Hello Playdate. We're on the Twitter at Hello PD Podcast. We're on the Blue Skis. We're on the Mastodons. We're on the Threads. We're all over the place. So if you want to connect with us, let's make it happen.
Very good. Thank you guys. Welcome back, Ryan. Good to have you.
Yeah.
Great to be here. Glad we had.
Okay. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Talk to you later.
My dad just sent me a text that Oasis is getting back together.
Huh.
I'm-
Is
No.
he an Oasis fan?
No, but I'm not either. I don't know why he sent me that text.